What's up, YouTube? Zach's back with another attack, and today there's no intro because this is a sadder video. It's another episode of The Man, the Myth, and the Legend, and I hate to make this video way more than I hated making the Adam West one, because this I'm tearing up a little bit already. Actually, it's super sad and unfortunate, but Stan Lee has passed away at the age of 95. Stan Lee was born December 28th, 1922, so he was just about to turn 96, and I'm not saying that 96 isn't incredibly old. He lived to a very ripe old age, and some would argue that he got better with age. Of course, there was allegations that he was being abused and his daughter was preventing him from getting necessary help and talking to people who he actually wanted to talk to, but I don't want to focus on that today because I really want to focus on the amazingness that was Stan Lee, this powerhouse of creativity that has inspired not only me, but so many people in this world who have gone on to write comics, to make movies, to make Marvel movies, just to be inspired by this man who took nothing and used his creativity to become everything. He's a household name. Of course, if any of the allegations of elder abuse for Stan Lee were true, I hope that he's now resting in peace and not having to deal with all that crap that he never should have had to deal with in the first place, and that the $70 million that his estate is worth are going to good places and not to those people who are involved in anything like that. Now, if you don't know who Stan Lee is, where have you been living? In 1939, he went into business with Jack Kirby, and of course that was just the start, but throughout his time working with comics and illustrating and character creation and things like that, he came up with characters such as Iron Man, Thor, of course that was already created, but Ant-Man wasn't, and Daredevil wasn't, and the Incredible Hulk wasn't, and Black Panther wasn't, and now that's a worldwide phenomena. And I personally believe that it's incredibly powerful for a 17-year-old boy to get started in this industry and go on to sell his company for $4 billion to Disney. Now, the thing that Stan really appreciated about heroes was their humanity. He was going against DC Comics, where heroes were aliens, and they were very used to being on Earth. Of course, Superman had a little bit of like a backstory, and a lot of the heroes did, but at the end of the day, they become well-adjusted and just were living aliens on Earth, saving the world in each issue. Whereas Stan Lee really wanted to focus on that humanity and created characters such as Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man, who was dealing with high school, dealing with his girlfriend's dad not liking him as a person, dealing with his boss not liking Spider-Man, even though his boss didn't really like anyone, but, you know. And even worrying about things like dandruff. Do you think Superman was worried about dandruff? No, and that's why Stan Lee's involvement was so magical. Stanley Martin Lieber, Stan Lee Lieber, was born in Manhattan, New York. That's why a lot of the Marvel characters actually are taking place in Manhattan. It's an area he was very, very familiar with. And later he would go on to say that the reason the characters are named the way they are, aka Stephen Strange, Peter Parker, Bucky Barnes, and of course J. Jonah Jameson, he said that those were because he had trouble remembering all these names. There were so many characters, so many side characters. You can't keep them all straight, but if you call them Peter Parker, you can get that alliteration going, and it helped him remember, especially as he got into his older age. Lee had many jobs growing up, although he always aspired to be a novelist. He wanted to write the next great American novel, and that was ambitious, but in the meantime, he had to be an office boy, deliver sandwiches, sell subscriptions to the local newspaper, and even write press releases for the tuberculosis center, as well as obituaries for the local newspaper, ironically enough. Hopefully, Stan Lee has a very beautiful obituary. Of course, that all changed when he got the life-changing job, as I said, in 1939, when he became an assistant for a comic book company, and he would fill their inkwells and erase their pencil marks for the final products, and little things like that. But that developed into him becoming a bigger part of this company. This company, called Timely Comics, is actually the people who originally created Captain America, who Stan Lee then made his own for Marvel Comics, which Timely Comics had become by 1960. The first comic book hero that Stan Lee ever created, however, was the Fantastic Four, which has gone on to inspire such movies as The Incredibles and, quite frankly, pretty much every superhero ever. Stan Lee didn't take the importance of his job lightly. He used his comics to create such things as comics that dealt with the Vietnam War and even racism issues, as Robbie Robertson was one of the first African American supporting characters ever in comics, and that was in Amazing Spider-Man. So that's awesome. Of course, Marvel didn't take Stan Lee's contributions lightly either, and in 2006 they created a series of one-shot comics where Stan Lee himself was actually a comic book character, and he was meeting Spider-Man and Iron Man and other characters that he had a major hand in helping to create. So that's really awesome as well. In 2010, the Stan Lee Foundation was founded to promote literacy, education, and the arts. Their mission was to promote access to literary resources, promoting diversity, natural literacy, culture, and arts. And that's incredibly admirable. Of course, all these things impacted Stan Lee a lot, and the way that he pays it forward will continue to be felt forever. I don't think that the Stan Lee Foundation is going to go away anytime soon, and in fact, it will only continue to become stronger, and though Stan is gone, his message and his beliefs and this foundation will continue to carry the good that Stan Lee had in his heart. When asked in 2002 if Stan Lee believes in God, he said, "Well, let me put it this way. No, I'm not going to try and be clever. I don't know. I just don't know." And who can blame him? I mean, he was raised Jewish, but as you get older, things become a little confusing. Of course, that was in 2002. I'm not sure how he felt last week, for instance, but hopefully he's come to grips with that. And I know that no matter what, Stan Lee is in a better place now, free of illness, free of pain, free of elder abuse, if that was happening. And he was rushed this morning to the hospital. Today is November 12th, 2018, and he passed away at that hospital. So no matter what happened, I don't think it's been officially released yet exactly how that went down, what happened, and all that. But he's free of that. He's free of any pain, any illness, and he's free to be in a better place. Now, it's going to be very different to live in a world where there's not Stan Lee cameos in every Marvel movie, unless they CGI that, but that seems distasteful, and I hope they don't do that. I just appreciate everything that Stan Lee has done. As I said in the beginning, I have been inspired strongly by this man, and I know I'm not alone in that, so I'm going to end this video here. Like I said, I'm already getting kind of emotional. This is crazy. This is one of the biggest deaths, one of the biggest fears I had. I mean, like, Betty White and Stan Lee. Those are like the two people that I want to be immortal, and today one of them is gone. So I know it's rough. I know it's sad, and things will be different, but just know that the amazing life that Stan Lee lived will continue to live on through the Stan Lee Foundation, Marvel movies, Marvel comics that will continue to be made, and the memories of everybody. Thanks for watching, guys. Leave a comment down below about the greatest memory you have of Stan Lee, whether that's a comic he wrote or a cameo. Maybe it's Tony Stank, his cameo there. That was really funny. But I would love to know your guys's. Let's make this comment section a little bit of a memorial for Stan Lee. Thank you for everything you've ever done, sir. And I'll catch you in the future.